Hear this word that Yahuwah has spoken against you, O children of Yasharel. That's pretty serious. Against the whole family which I brought up out of Egypt, that's all 12 tribes, saying, you only have I chosen of the families of the earth. I think we can validate that in Isaiah 43, 1 through 4. Therefore I will punish you. Who? Yahuwah. Therefore I will punish you for your iniquities. Can two walk together except they be agreed? In other words, can you serve me and someone else at the same time? Will a lion roar in the forest when he has no food? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he has taken nothing? Can a bird fall into a snare upon the earth where there is no trap for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Nothing in the trap? Will he remove the trap, or will he let it stay there until he captures something? That's what it's saying here. Shall a shofar or a trumpet or a horn or a voice be blown in the city or heard in the city, and the people be not afraid? Warnings. Shall there be an evil in the city, and Yahuwah has not done it? Question mark. Surely Yahuwah will do nothing. Surely Yahuwah will do nothing except he reveals his secret unto his servants, the prophets. The lion has roared. Who will fear not? Yahuwah has spoken. Who can but prophesy? Yahuwah Shalom, Israel. Now that reading was from the book of Amos, chapter 3, from 1 to verse 8. I want to take a little time today and have a conversation, a family conversation, fireside chat, however you might want to see it. And I think this particular message resonates or relates very well to the time that we're in. You know, on last night's Tanakh lessons, World Called Bible Studies, we were listening to a PhD, and he happens to be the Surgeon General for the state of Florida. Very well informed doctor, you know, medical doctor, PhD, which makes him, you know, a professional, right? Expert in the subject matter for which he was sharing. And I'm going to leave the link of that conversation in this particular video down in the description box for those who might want to check out what he was saying. And he spoke the first 17 minutes. The message is 2 hours. I mean, the video is well over 2 hours, so I don't encourage you to watch all of that. You know, and, you know, the host who's hosting it, he's an idiot, so don't focus on him. But in regards to the PhD doctor, the scientist, him, you want to hear. And he was talking about, you know, the experiment that that over 1 billion people participated in 2020. And he was talking about, you know, changes that were going to happen, are very likely to happen for those individuals who are participated in that experiment. And how that there was something going on. Now, this is him, quote unquote. This is not giving medical experts or fair use. I'm not a doctor. I'm not pretending to be a doctor. I don't have a PhD, anything like that. I'm just sharing information, passing information on for educational purposes or for those to be informed, YouTube. So let me be clear, get that out of the way. But he was talking about DNA, and then he was talking about mRNA. And he was talking about some things that were happening in relationship to other things that were related to the experiment. Now, by now, that little thing should be going off in your head saying, oh, crap, I know exactly what he's talking about, okay? And what was so alarming about that conversation, he was talking about, you know, not so subtle changes that were going to start to show up in people. That literally people would start to change. And it wasn't anything they could do about it. because, as the old saying, the die had already been cast. And that, we should be, overly concerned, extremely concerned, and we needed to be prepared for the danger ahead, for lack of a better word, extreme danger ahead. And so when I look at what Amos is talking about here, where he says, how can two walk together except they agree? Now, this is Yah talking to Amos, by the way. I'm not talking about disagreements because somebody didn't put the toilet seat back down, or whose turn it is to wash the dishes, or who failed to put out the trash. I'm not talking about, necessarily even matters of the heart. In relationships, people are going to have disagreements. I'm not talking about that. One of you think, this person is a better role model for your children, and the other one says, no, I think this person is. I'm not talking about those kind of disagreements, okay? I'm talking about soul issues here, brothers and sisters. And when I say soul, I'm talking about issues that are so deeply in someone's heart that is no way those things can be reconciled, because they have two total different ideologies, and nothing is going to change them. Nothing. And so when Amos talks about how can two walk together except they agree, he's talking about, people who have already settled upon going two separate ways. It's like when Isaiah talked to the brothers and sisters, Elijah, when he was talking about our brothers and sisters in Israel, when he challenged our people who were Baal worshiping. They were Baal worshiping. They thought they were worshiping, Yahuwah. Some of them did. Some of them probably did not. Some of them probably were clearly aware they were worshiping Baal. But he told them, he said, look, either Yahuwah is your Elohim, or Baal is your Elohim. But you got to make a decision. I'm talking about those kind of soul issues that will determine where you spend eternity, brothers and sisters. In addition to that, decisions that could cause serious bodily harm to you. Decisions that could destroy, in some instances, everything that you've worked hard to achieve. Decisions that, if you don't quite understand the transformation of some people, that not recognizing that they have changed, and I'm not talking about, again, they used to, she changed from when I knew her 20 years ago. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about changes in their whole way of not only their vantage point, their viewpoint, but also changing in their demeanor to the degree that they're almost like, the best example I can give is like a rabid animal, an animal that has rabies. You can, I remember there was a movie when I was a kid called Old Yellow, and it was about this dog, real friendly dog, and this little boy loved this dog, and this dog was, the dog was his best friend. And in the movie, the dog got, I think, bit by a snake, in my memory. Something bit the dog, and the dog became rabid. It became a rabid dog, and the dog, where the little dog used to come up to him and lick his hand and, and hunt for him and play with him and everything. Now the dog wants to kill him. The dog is growling at him. Dog is foaming from the mouth because something happened to the dog. When the venom, the snake pus, whatever you want to call it, the juicy juice. I'm kind of being a little light there. When that animal, whatever that was, bit him, it changed him. The dog I'm talking about. And therefore the father had to protect his son by killing the dog. Or the dog would have bit his son, and then his son would have had rabies and would become a madman, and ultimately would have to have been unalived as well. So I'm talking about that. The scientists that we were listening to on last night in the study was talking about the potential for that to be happening. So when you look at what Amos is telling us, how can two walk together except they agree? And he was talking about different things that were common sense things, but all of a sudden the behavior was not consistent with something that would be common sense, practical. Why would somebody get so mad about something so small unless they had something that they were trying to hide, and the only way they could hide it, they had to put up on a facade to make someone think they were just viciously angry, when in all actuality, there was another thing going on. And the other thing could be many things, brothers and sisters. It could be, jealousy. It could be bitterness. It could be envy. It could be, they just don't, they told you they loved you, but they didn't. They told you, that they were loyal to you, but they were not. So Amos is reminding us that those kind of things can happen and that those things would happen. And because of the experiment that I mentioned to you, my brothers and sisters, a little bit earlier, in the next, year, I think a lot of us are going to actually see these things happening, and we're going to have to make tough decisions. And not when it happens. I'm talking about we're going to have to make these decisions right now. You should already be getting yourself in a state of mind to say, okay, well, I know I didn't participate in this thing, but, I know these folk participated in it. And these people are close to me. These people are related to me in some instances. And I'm going to have to deal with these people before the rabies kick in, for lack of a better word. Because see, once the rabies kick in, the rabid behavior kicks in, the delirium kicks in, it's too late. It's too late then. And I know some of our people, you're still caught up in emotionalism. Well, it's my child, it's my sister, it's my mom, it's who's somebody, it's my best friend. And while all those emotions are all those feelings and relationships are qualified, verified, pure, clean, true relationships, in many cases, natural human emotions, I guess is a better way to say it. A time is going to come, brothers and sisters, that you're going to have to understand that it's just not up to you anymore. Because if you don't act, then what's happening to them will absolutely happen to you. It reminds me of those Walking Dead movies. Y'all know what I'm talking about, how that, one of those zombies got hold of you and bit you. They might bite your neck off, have your head hanging. But when they came back to life, they were no longer what they were before that zombie bit them. They became one of them. That's what I'm talking about. If not something unimaginably worse. And again, it has to be talked about. And you think back these people who are responsible for our well-being, especially these people who hold themselves up to be pastors and evangelists and, clergy people, priests. And then the other group who call themselves servant leaders, talking about, your governors, your mayors, your councilmen, your senators, etc. Interestingly enough, none of them are talking about it. Therefore, is why the Harvard PhD Surgeon General of Florida felt obligated to talk about it. Because he had already confronted the FDA, the World Health Organization. And for the most part, they blew him off. They answered everything other than what he was asking them. Because they knew that what he was asking them, had they admitted that, probably all of them would be in jail, if not worse. But again, I don't want to go too far into that because that's going to cause channel problems, and we want to avoid that. So I'll let you, again, the link will be in the bottom, and you can look at that and again, draw your own conclusions. But remember this, brothers and sisters, there is nothing that Yah has written in the Tanakh and in this Cipher as a warning that's not going to come to pass. He would never tell us, how can two walk together except they be in agreement? He would have never told us that, if that agreement is not a solid, if it's not centered on loyalty, then be more than willing to disengage with them. Don't go off of what they say. Watch how people behave. Watch how people treat you. And I'm not talking about domestic quarrels, relationship, sibling disagreement. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about when people flat out are being disrespectful, people are at different points in time are doing things that are very bitter, very vengeful, very retaliatory. Especially in instances where they ought to be mature enough to work through it. Talk it out. Weigh it. Is this worth destroying my relationship? Weigh it out. But again, if there's something else being altered, then you can forget that. But even if they haven't participated in that experiment, you still have to be careful for those individuals. We are no longer at a point in time, brothers and sisters, where we can just take people's word for what they say. Trust me on this. David tried to warn us about that, in the book of Psalms, right? 55 and 21. Let's go over there because we're going to be shifting. We're going to transition. A different kind of transition. But we're going to transition now. Let's go over. First, we're going to go over to Psalm 55, and then we're going to go over to First Samuel. And we're going to talk about this same David and his relationship. And Yah willing, we're going to try to break down, certain events to hopefully drive home a deeper understanding to my brothers and sisters why this message is so important that it could come down to your survival if you don't understand it. Maybe this is what Amos is telling us, or Yahuwah is telling Amos to warn us of. Because look how he starts it off. Look at this. And I'm going to go over the Psalms in a moment. He says, hear the word of Yahuwah. Hear this word, O children of Yasharel. He says what? Yahuwah has spoken against you. This is chapter 3, verse 1. He says the whole family, he's talking about all 12 tribes, all of us. He says, I delivered you once before, saying, you only have I loved of all the families of the earth. Now he's saying clearly we were identified as a special people that he loved. Of all the other nations, he loved us. And to truth be told, he still loves us. But unfortunately, catch this. Many of Israel, many of us hate him. Not because DFG is giving you his opinion. Yahuwah said we did according to his word. Because now look at this. Because in verse 2 he says, only you have known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you because of your wickedness. This is what he's saying. And a part of that wickedness is again, our hatred towards him. Yahuwah doesn't hate Israel. He loves us, brothers and sisters. But, so the hatred is not coming. He said, I'm going to punish you for your wickedness because you have rebelled against me. You have turned against me. Look what it says. Look at Exodus. I'm going to go over this to David. But look what it says here in Exodus, in the Torah. And I hope you share this with your children and the people that you love. Everything. Again, I'm not going to go back to that video that's going to be down in the link again, because I'm going to leave that be. If you want to know what the doctor was saying, and I really think you should know, you go back, just watch again the first 15 minutes. Again, forget the idiot that's, see, one of the things about Israel, we can get caught up, in nothingness very easy sometimes. There's an old saying, we love to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So instead of us eating the meat and spitting out the bones, we just say the whole thing is contaminated, and I be damned if I'm going to listen to it, because he's there. Well, look, when life and death's on the line, you better be a little bit more mature than who's in the room when there's a problem. You better get past the stranger and deal with what matters the most, and that is what's happening. Yeah, I know you got company in the house, but we got to fix this right now. We don't have time to wait till the company leaves and go home. And we have to get beyond that, because we'll look at somebody or we disagree with somebody that we don't like. And so therefore, we forget all about the information and get caught up in our emotions. And we're so angry because that person is there that we're forgetting that there is something being said that supersedes the person. And at that particular time, that person cannot matter as much as the information that's coming. Y'all used a jackass to talk to a prophet of his one time. I'm talking about Balaam. You can read about that in the book of Numbers, chapter 22. If Yah will use a jackass to give you a message, Yah is telling you there come a time that you don't worry about who's bringing the message. You need to be concerned about the message, brothers and sisters. Hear that loud and clear. So you watch that link. Don't worry about the interviewer. Listen to the messenger, the expert. The guy who's talking, in my opinion, he's a qualified idiot. But the guy who's talking to him, he's a Harvard PhD, Surgeon General of the state of Florida. And he's an Israelite. And I think we need to show him some respect. At least by listening to him is what I'm saying. Hearing what he has to say. Because he is warning us. Okay. But look what he says here in terms of Yah's attitude towards us. Look at this, Exodus chapter 20. He says Yahuwah, all these words I am saying, Yahuwah, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt. And you just heard me talk about that in the book of Amos, chapter 1, right? Chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Brought you out of Egypt. Over here, brought you out of Egypt. Yah reminds us that he has taken us out of bondage. He took us out in the first Exodus, and he's going to take us out, some of us, at least the 1/10 of us, out in this second. But Yah is very consistent in his word. That's why Isaiah says when you're studying Yah's word, you have precepts line upon line, precept on precept. Isaiah 28:11, right through 14:50. Here a little, there a little. Because Yah is very consistent. And that way, and he's consistent, and he gives us these precepts so we're not so easily misguided. The reason why a lot of our people got caught up in Baal worshiping or New Testament worshiping, New Testament Savior, even though Yah says we had no other Savior but him, and you'll see this in a moment, it's because of that very thing. Now listen to what he says here. Yah is very consistent. If we had kept and looked at Yah's word through precept, we would have never fell for no Jesus or no Alua or Yahuwah or Yahushua. Ahayawa, whatever name they use. Sound like one of them damn Indian cowboy, that kind of stuff. Not making mockery out of the Most High name. I'm making mockery out of those of us who allow the heathens to take and steal our children away in this day and time, as our forefathers let them steal their children away and indoctrinate them, educate them to make them become, mental slaves, to make them idolaters. Malcolm X had a quote, and I thought it was a very solid quote. He says, only a fool would let his enemies educate his children. Only a fool, he said, will let his enemy educate his children. Now, we realize that Rockefeller education was forced upon our people, on us, myself included. But what I did not do is stop there. I didn't just take their education, their information, their science, their history, and then lay down on the pillow and call myself informed. I kept reaching for more. I wanted to know more. I wasn't comfortable just believing that my people would just let someone enslave them and never fight back. Because I knew I didn't have that in me, and I was 7, 8 years old, thinking that I would have ran away. I would have fought back. Unbeknownst to myself, there were many, many uprisings, thousands of uprisings, not just the 1, 2, 3 that they teach, Nat Turner, for example. Then Mark Vinci, right? Gabriel Prosper. There were many more. The Haitian Revolution. Matter of fact, the Haitian Revolution had American, those heathens here so scared that they started passing laws that we couldn't even meet more than 2 people without permission. So power to the Haitian, because at least to your ancestors. I don't know about it. I can say power to you now, but to your ancestors, because your ancestors had all of them pissing in their pants. Talking about all the Americas. But there were thousands of uprisings. There was one in 1811 down in Louisiana, where I'm from, New Orleans. Our people didn't just sit here and take it. But if you listen to the history that the heathen put us in their books, you were just docile. And then who they promote on their so-called Black History Month, which America is going through right now, is men like Dr. King, Frederick Douglass, men who compromised themselves. They were just looking for white access. They were why can't we all just get along? Just love me. Please, just let me come pee in the bathroom where you pee at. Can I eat, where you eating at? Although your chef probably gonna spit in my food. Because I somebody, and I just need you to say that. Because my black life matters. Foolishness. That's what they're teaching, foolishness. My mother used to say, ain't nothing like an educated fool. And my dad used to tell me, don't you be damn, and don't you, he used to tell me all the time, son, don't you be no damn fool. Hear what I say, but check up on it. Trust but verify. So when we're studying and a true informed daughter or brother of Yasharel who really wants to know the truth of who he is to us and what we are to him, they will search the scripture. They will engage others who are doing the exact same thing. And they won't get caught up in pettiness. Talking about calendars and following which way the moon gonna land or be. But what they also understand the importance of how can 2 walk together except they agree. They understand that this what I'm about to read matters. Now check this out, brothers and sisters. It says, in Elohim, this is Exodus chapter 20. And Elohim said these words, I am Yahuwah, which has brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And you shall have no other Elohim before me. Brothers and sisters, I think some of us need to look up the word Elohim. Because I think, people, that means many gods and all of that. Yeah, it means that too. But the question is, are you serving, praying, worshiping, believing in, calling something your Savior or your Redeemer? Because if you are, that's who he's talking to you. You shall not make any graven images or the likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Now, what is he talking about here? He's talking about idolatry in every sense of the word. And that includes books. Last night we were studying in the book of Daniel, chapter 1, and we got down to, I want to say verse 20, chapter 1, verse 20. It talked about how Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that they were 10 times smarter than all of the sorcerers and all of the magicians of Nebuchadnezzar. 10 times smarter than all of those who were in the occult. Now you tell me, brothers and sisters, why we need to be studying any occultic books. When if we were in Yah's Torah, keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, as Daniel and they did, we would be 10 times smarter than anyone who could write any kind of book on the occult. Tell me why we would be reading the occult books. Why would we let them knowingly be in our presence? I'm talking about knowingly. Some of us purchased those things, when we didn't really understand, the conflict with Yah that those things would represent. And how we didn't understand that those things attract demons into your home. Matter of fact, they open up your mind as a portal for demons to come in. And if enough of those demons come in, trust me, you ain't going to get them out by calling them out. Matter of fact, they'll defend their right to study and believe what's written in those books. But here it is right here saying you shall not have any of that. Again, you shall not make any graven images of any likeness of anything that is in the heaven, and the book is an image. In the heavens, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah, am a jealous Redeemer, Savior, Father, visiting iniquity. We just read that again in Amos. Because of our iniquities, Yah is punishing us. Not the devil, not Satan. Satan ain't got nothing to do with what's going on with Israel right now, brothers and sisters. Israel is dancing with Satan. That little nasty nice wasn't he on a strip pole with Satan? Israel is having a party with Satan right now. Shit, Satan got invitations to every event Israel is having these days, including an invitation to their churches. Satan ain't no threat to Israel. But Yahuwah is. Let's go on to here. It says, you shall not bow down yourself to them. That means, again, cater to them. Or serve them. That means embrace it. For I, Yahuwah, am a jealous El, visiting iniquity upon the fathers and upon his children, unto their third, to their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren of them that hate me. Hate him? I thought y'all hated us. At least some would say. No. Israel is proving to hate Yahuwah, brothers and sisters. And that lies the grassroots issue within our people. And we don't even know that. Isaiah warned, he said, the ass knows his owner, the ox his master's crib, but my people don't know who they are or who Yahuwah is, and they won't even consider when you try to tell them. So all this hatred behavior, when we do all the things contrary to Yah's Torah, is a very big reason why we're in this crap that we're in right now. And it's going to get much, much worse. And that's why Amos is warning us. You better be careful who you're walking in agreement with. You better know that you know that you know. Because many of them are professing to love Yahuwah. No, they don't. They love themselves. Well, they'll talk a good talk. They're going to say all the, the right words, because they know in order to deceive, they got to say those things. But see, this is a heart issue. This is a soul, not a heart. This is a soul issue. Because see, when your soul is right, you take rebuke. You take chastisement. You understand when Yah says who he loves, he chastises as a father chastises a son. You understand that open rebuke is better than secret love. But see, when your heart is calcified, or your mind is calcified, your soul is calcified, I'm sorry, but all three of those words kind of interchange anyway. But see, a calcified soul or a soul that's become hardened, they will be as disrespectful as you could ever believe. And I'm not talking about, the kind of disrespectful when you tell somebody, hey, don't you do that again. Hey, be quiet. Hey, stop talking. Hey, you need to listen to me. That's not being disrespectful if that's appropriate to what's going on. That's not disrespect. That's called leadership, quite frankly, in many cases. Most of our people, they get upset as soon as someone so-called talk harsh to them, but they worked on jobs, they've done all kind of functions and gotten screamed at, hollered at, suspended, fired, written up, and they never said anything about that. They accepted it. They might have said something, but they accepted it. But now all of a sudden, when it comes down to the things of Yah, now you can't accept it. So when the heathens, rebuked you and chastised you, you were good with it. When the enemy was slaughtering, and still in some cases, our people in the courthouse saying, we forgive you. But when Yah's watchman or elder comes and says the same things that any heathen could say on any given day, where most of our people would just hug it out with them, humble themselves, neighbors hollering at them, and they embrace it. They're kind, they're quiet, they embrace it. Or talking behind the back. But as soon as Yah's messenger comes, his watchman comes and says it, oh no. Oh no. They get nasty. Very disrespectful. They want to disengage. Turn you off. As though Yah is not looking at that action, that behavior. And they have the audacity to go before Yah with a polluted mindset and a polluted attitude. And that's why Yah say he's going to make them a reprobate. They're going to think they're with Yah. They're going to think Yah is with them, and he isn't. Because if he was with them, they would understand open rebuke. They would understand chastisement. They wouldn't run from it. They'd run to it, knowing that it will make them better in the end. Why? Because Yahuwah said so. But Israel as a whole is Israel individually. And individually is a pride issue inside of Israel that has destroyed us in the past and is going to destroy us in the future. What did the book remind us? Pride coming before destruction and high-mindedness before the fall. Arrogant. Both women and men. Again, individually and collectively. My job as a watchman is to bring it out and forewarn you while there's still time for you to do something about it. Because if you die in that state that you're in, many of our brothers, you are not getting out of that mess. According to the book, that's the state you're going to stay in until you come before judgment. To that same bitterness that you holding on to, unforgiveness that you hold on, that arrogance that you hold on to. When you get mad, you feel like you can do whatever you want to do. That it's going to follow your wicked behind right into the grave if you don't do something about it. That's what Yah is talking about when we hate him. Because he tells us to love our neighbors as ourselves. He said, honor those who have authority over you. Muzzle not the mouth of the ox that treaded out the corn. To a prophet, you give a prophet's reward too. Respect and honor your elders. And yet, there are many among us, young and old, who think that they can just disregard those things based off of how they may be feeling, and somehow Yah is going to wink at them. Conspiring, bitter, digging ditches, hoping you fall in. But as the old saying goes, when you dig one ditch, you might want to dig two. One for yourself. Because did not the book say, whatever a man thinketh in his heart, so is he? But Yah says here, he hates us. Over here, we talked about, let's go back over to Amos, and we're going back over to the book of Psalms for a moment. I'm going to go back again to Amos chapter 3. And I'm repeating myself, but teaching is repeating till learning has occurred. See, we've gotten so comfortable as a people, so easily distracted, that we got to always have something new coming. Give me something else. You said that already. Give me something else. You said that already. And then someone can come right back and say, you want something else because you heard that already? Yeah. Then can you tell me what you heard already? Yeah, that's what I thought. You saw that moment of silence? They were listening, but they didn't hear anything. And that's what happened to many of our brothers and sisters. Guys talking, you're listening, but you're not hearing. And now that proverb that he uses here, will a young lion cry out if his den, if he has taken nothing? Can a bird fall into a snare upon the earth where there is no trap set for him? Talking about you. You don't get it. You look right past the obvious. You look right past the problem, thinking someone else is the problem. In all actuality, the problem is you. You're falling into the same ditch that you're digging for someone else. It's like Haman, who set the guillotine or the hangman's noose for Mordecai. And ultimately, the same trap he built for Mordecai was used to hang him. And Yah says our attitude towards him and to one another has been the root cause of many of the things that have happened to us that have been harmful and still are. And except we learn to understand and come into alignment with Yahuwah first and then one another second, it's going to continue to happen. No man is an island unto himself. Not in Yah's dominion, he isn't. You might think you could tuck yourself away in some little corner and just do you. But that's not what Yahuwah said. He says, I'm going to gather my people from the four corners of the earth. And there I'm going to what? Petition on behalf of them. So were you going to be still in your corner somewhere when he comes? Or are you going to be with the rest of us? How can two walk together except they agree? How can there be two understanding? Somebody's right and somebody's wrong. Yah is not divided. And again, someone has to talk about this, so guess what? I'll talk about it. Because the spirit of rebellion is destroying us. And I'm saying again, as I started in the early part of this message, there are people and situations that's going to start to become something that they weren't, become something they never were intended to be. And if you have not put yourself in a position where you can defend yourself, you are going to put yourself in a situation that, if you know anything about Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger and those nightmares, that's going to seem like a Saturday morning cartoon to you. And all of my brothers, I'm talking about, the bad, the bad ones, the ones, you know who you are, nobody, you too. You're going to be sitting right there shivering, peeing in your pants. I know you don't think so. But when nobody's firing at you and your life is on the line, it's easy to talk, to talk. But when that dark day comes, and that horror comes in the night, the terror by night, arrows by day, I'm afraid many of these bold talkers are going to run, trying to hide, but there'll be no place to hide. Either you come now to the light and come to Yah now, my brother, or be ready to be tested and tried. Can you handle waterboarding? Can you handle people cutting off fingers, toes, ears? Can you deal with all of that? Yours, I'm talking about. To you. Can you deal with that and still keep your composure? Can you watch your children suffering in front of you and still keep your composure? Can you see your daughters getting abused and still keep your composure? And because you can't do anything about it to stop it, can you still keep your composure? Because I can go on and on with this. And my job is to make you think about it. Your job is to decide for yourself. My job as a watchman, at least maybe you haven't thought about all of this while you're boasting about who you don't need. Because brother, these heathens got ways to make you get on your knees and beg them to stop torturing you. Trust me. They know things you never dreamed about to get you to bow down and worship them. Daughters of Zion, same thing. When there's no one to protect you, no police to call, then what you gonna do? When nobody answers your phone, the EMP taking down the phones, the internet's gone down, and somebody's kicking in your door, and you can look out the window and see blood all over them. You see they got machetes in their hands, weapons in their hands. What you gonna do? Oh, brother, you trying to... Look, maybe you need to take a minute, and I'll challenge you on this, just to give you something to compare. Go back and look up Rwandan genocide. Rwanda. Tutsis and Hutus, 1994, 1995. Just go look up the documentary. It's on YouTube. Look it up. And see what happened to the daughters of Zion when there was no one to defend or protect them. When the military were working for the government and the government was working against the people. Because you didn't fit a certain qualification or a certain ethnic group. Go look. And see what was happening to the daughters of Zion. And their children. But so saying those who forget their past are doomed to repeat it. Now this message has gone on in a different direction, so I'm going to just let y'all take it where it goes. So maybe we won't be reading 1 Samuel today. Maybe the day is about reflection. Maybe the day is about taking some time and asking yourself the question, can I trust those people around me? Or am I just comfortable with the people around me? Two different things. Am I prepared to defend what I love? Can I defend what I love? Or do I need to start preparing? Am I healthy? Or do I need to get healthy? We talked about this more times than we can say. I'm sorry. The food of the angels. Right there. See it? Every day I take it. And I'm not ashamed to say, brothers and sisters, you can look. There ain't no wrinkles going on here. And I'm not boasting, I'm not bragging, but I'm about to hit the 6'5" in a couple of months. And I'm telling you, I can, look this, I'm not kidding with you. Not playing, okay? I'm ready. At least I'm trying. I didn't say I was perfect, brother. I don't have a 6-pack. I got a 4-pack. But I also know how to pick this up. And what this can't do, I know how to pick the sword up. And I got more than one. I have. When we say I have more than one. But it's coming down now. What, as I was saying, the rubber meets the road. Down, it's coming down to a thin gravy. It's cooking down, brothers and sisters, and we're running out of time. And most of our people are totally unaware. They're in agreement with the heathen. They're in agreement with all the agenda. They always give it to them about who, am I a Republican? Am I a Democrat? Who I want Biden because he's better than Trump, the lesser of two evils. We are so distracted, got everything going on, trying to walk together with things that are totally contradictory before Yahuwah. And we're thinking that Yahuwah is looking the other way, like it does not matter. And yet he's reminding us, not only does it matter, a lot of the issues that you're currently dealing with, we're dealing with, is because of his displeasure with our behavior. Again, stop blaming the devil. Yeah, the demons may come and, get in these little wicked little he devils and she devils and cause distraction. In some cases, death. But that's only because our people like to play footsies with the devil. They like to play footsies with these demons. What I mean by footsies, they watch them, they support their channels, they go to their concerts, their festivals, they run to their churches, they eat their filthy foods, which the book says, if you want to be healthy, you got to eat the food that Yah said you can eat, Israel. We talked about that last night. Brother Derek did a good job of breaking down pulse. Daniel and Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to eat the king's food because the king food consists of unclean foods. The book called foods that would defile you. They refused to eat it. So they said, no, we're going to eat pulse. P-U-L-S-E, pulse. You can read about it in, again, Daniel chapter 1. And somebody said, well, what is pulse? Brother Derek told us it's grains, it's peas, lentils, beans, I'm sure fruits, vegetables, things with protein, things that help your digestive system, all those things. Again, I'm not giving medical science, doc, just talking about what Daniel and his people ate. They ate pulse. And they were stronger, and their complexion was more beautiful than anyone in the land. And Jeremiah 30:13 tells us that if you're looking to get healthy, you better not be looking to the heathens. Oh yeah, they'll give you things to hide the symptoms. They'll give you things that, so that you can keep on going, They ain't gonna fix the problem, but they can give you things, that can prolong. That you can be prolonged until that problem finally, it's like instead of having the roof repaired, you just keep putting little, patches on it. Eventually, the whole roof gonna be compromised. Might keep the rain out today, but the day will come. You're gonna have a shower, and it ain't gonna be the one in your bathroom falling right on your head. That's what the heathens are capable of doing for us. But Yah says, no, I have something better. If you go to Deuteronomy 28:4, he says, I will bless your body. I will make your body strong. I will make your body healthy. Why? Because you kept my laws, statutes, and commandments. The same laws, statutes, and commandments that they told us that we did not have to keep. And we're walking in agreement with that. And then wondering why, nothing is changing for us. Our situation is getting worse. Our people are dropping like flies. Because we think we can walk for Yah and then walk for the heathens too. And he's saying, no, you can't. I'm jealous. You're either going to serve me with all your heart, all your mind, and all of your strength, or I don't have nothing to do with you. I'm going to wash my hands with you. And then serving me means you serve your brothers and you serve your sisters and you keep the laws. And it ain't just about you. Ain't nothing in this book about you. It's like the old saying, there ain't no I in you. There ain't no, you know what I'm saying? In this book is about a people, a nation of people. And how we walk amongst one another is a clear indicator of how we walk before Yah. Whether we be wicked towards one another or we walk in alignment or agreement with one another, with that agreement being centered on what does the book says, what does the Torah says. How can we learn from our ancestors and what they said and did? You know, one of the things, and I'll go over here, and now maybe I covered it the other day, and I'll cover it again. And I was saying it a moment ago, you know, repetitive learning is important. Never let somebody, you know, again, you don't know that you know until you know that you know. And so many times you have to remember, just because you heard something doesn't mean that it got rooted in you, brothers and sisters. And that's why, you know, even in the heathens education system, they give you work, then they test you on that work. They give you examinations on that work to make sure that you understood what it is you were learning. So there's no such thing as saying, oh, I read the Bible one time, or I heard that before, and then you're done. No, you repeat. David said you meditate on his word day and night. And he said if we were to do that, what, brothers and sisters? He said that our leaf would never wither, means we would never come up short in times of need. And he got what else he said? And he said anything that we would set our hands to do, brothers and sisters, he said it would come back and bear fruits. We'd be prosperous in it. Again, when Daniel and the Hebrew boys stood upon Yah's Torah, they were 10 times smarter than anybody in all of Babylon because they were keeping the Torah. So that knowledge right there in that Torah for us, everything we need to know to be blessed here on this earth and these bodies we're in are right there in that Torah, and yet we were told not to read it. All those who are reading it, they take and they make it. They turn right back around because they think they can do two things opposite. They can serve Yahushua or Michael or whatever name they got for their Redeemer or their receiver, their Redeemer, Savior, or Messiah, and think that Yah is going to accept that when he said, no, I'm sovereign. It's just me. The heathens' gods don't walk in agreement with Yahuwah. And he told us not to learn their ways. Do not learn, the ways of the nations around you. It's Deuteronomy 18 tells us about that. Learn not the ways of the nations around us. But what are these so-called Christian Israelites or non-Christian Hebrew Israelites doing? Still teaching out of the heathens' books. Talking about the so-called Gospels, and I'm talking about those epistle letters. Still teaching out of that. How can you learn not the ways of the heathen teaching your children the heathen's doctrine? Well, that ain't the heathen's doctrine, that's our doctrine. Well, they sure embracing it pretty well, and they sure use it to conquer our asses. And that same God that they serve work for them ain't working for you. You haven't figured that out yet? They own everything, we have almost nothing, and they're serving that God. And you're serving that God, but you claiming, no, that's our God, not their God. But yet they're benefiting from that God, you're not. They're benefiting from that Savior, and you're not. And you still haven't figured this out yet. Surely, you're not as smart as you think you are then. Yahuwah made it clear, Deuteronomy 28, if we obeyed his commandments, let's go there real quick. And again, we're going to follow the Ruach. Deuteronomy 28. And I'm going to go back over to First Maccabees and probably one or two other things, and and maybe we'll be done. Hallelujah. But before I get there, look at Deuteronomy 18. And again, I hope you have your saw and hammer. You know the drill by now, right, brothers and sisters? The heathens tell your brother's here to teach. That's what a good watchman does. A good elder teaches. He doesn't tell you what to do. He show you what needs to be done. What's the old saying? Give a man a fish he eats for a day. Teach him to fish he eats for a lifetime. The heathens give. Those who love Yah and loves people, they teach. Genuinely teach. From the heart, passion. And they show up when they're supposed to be there every single time. But look what he says here, Deuteronomy chapter 18. He says, when you come, chapter 18, verse 9. When you come into the land which Yahuwah gives you, that's wherever we might be, you shall not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Again, I'm gonna read it again because this is way too clear, brothers and sisters, for us to be getting this wrong. We're acclimating to all the heathens' customs. Many of our people were celebrating the heathen holiday yesterday, Valentine's Day. And they're waiting for the next one, Easter. And yet it says clearly, when you, Yasharel, come into the land which Yahuwah gives you, wherever we may be, you learn not to do after the abominations of those nations. Clearly telling us that we're not supposed to be doing what they're doing. And if that's not enough, if you go over to the book of Jeremiah, look at this. Precept. Jeremiah chapter 10. It says here, the word of Yahuwah speaks unto you, Yasharel, us again. We're the ones not supposed to be following after them and learning what they are teaching us, participating in what they are participating in. Look what he says. Hear the word of Yahuwah speaks unto you, Yasharel. Thus says Yahuwah, learn not the ways of the heathen. Yeah, we are learning them, teaching them, promoting their ways, arguing for them, arguing about their ways, debating on behalf of them about their ways. But Solomon got it right. Proverbs 14 and 12, where he told the truth. There's a way that seems right to man, but the end of that way is going to lead to that man's destruction. 14 and 12. But look what Deuteronomy 28 says in 1. And I hope this is helping. If it is, then least you can do is thumb up the video. And I mean that, it's amazing because, you're sitting looking like, how hard is somebody just to press the thumb up button? But you know how I say, well, if it ain't mine, I don't care. Well, y'all said when you turn to him and you ask him to hear you, he's not going to care. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. All those things are there to remind you that Yah is watching how we interact with each other as well as how we interact with him. But look at Deuteronomy 28. So I hope you've already thumbed it up. Praise Yah. Verse 28 says, and it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah, to guard and do all of his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahuwah will set you high above all the nations. So he's saying that he's going to set us above the nations, so we should be learning the way of the nations, of the ways of the nations. The nations should be learning the ways of Yahuwah. They're supposed to be following us, not us following them, brothers and sisters. But how can they follow those who refuse to follow? How can you give instruction when you won't take instruction? Who can follow someone when they don't even know where they're going themselves? Who would be so ignorant to do that? Again, Isaiah said it again. Isaiah chapter 1, verse, I think it's 4. Ox knows his owner, the ass his master's crib, but my people don't know and will not consider where they're going. Oh, again, my apologies. No, they're going to learn the ways of the heathens. They're going to learn the ways of the nations around them, and that's the way they're going to go. And then they're going to say when things go bad, man, I can't believe y'all hate us. Y'all hate us. No, don't lie on Yah. You hate him. Because according to this, he wants to bless us. I'm going to read it to you again. It shall come to pass, if you shall listen to the voice of Yahuwah, and to guard and do all of the commandments which I command you this day, that Yahuwah will set you high above all the nations, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you. They're going to overwhelm you, the blessings. If you hearken to the voice or listen to the voice of Yahuwah, blessed shall you be in your cities, blessed shall you be in your workplace, blessed shall you be in your health, and everything else you do. You can read all the way down to 14 and see it for yourself. So this is not an issue. What's happening to us has nothing to do with Yah hating us. It has everything to do with us rejecting him because we'd rather serve the heathen gods. Because the heathen gods say you can do whatever you want to do because someone else is going to be held accountable for it when you die. And you believe that. Not because Yahuwah said it. Yahuwah said the soul that sinneth, it shall die. We read that in Ezekiel 18. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Read Ezekiel, said it over and over. The soul that sinned, but the soul that repented, it shall live. But they got us thinking somebody else, many of us, somebody else is going to die for the sin that you do. Or we do. No, Yah is just. He's just. He's going to he recompenses us based off of what we do. That's called just. You do right, you get good. You do evil, you get rejected. Simple as that. Do what is right, you're blessed. Do what is wrong, you're cursed. Simple as that. Go to Maccabees. First Maccabees. Chapter 2. Look what it reads here. I'm going to start at verse 50. And this is when Judah Maccabee's father was dying. The one who led our people out of Macedonia, from under the wicked king and his ordinances. You can read about that in chapter 1. The one who actually was a savior of our people. But a savior in the true sense of a savior. He spoke to our people, helped our people align themselves, helped our people become an army within themselves, taught our people to go back to the Torah and not to follow the king's laws, statutes, and ordinances, and destroyed every wicked ass Israelite who tried to get in the way. This is what he left to his sons as a reminder to us, because we are part of Judah, many of us. So this was left for us, is what I'm saying. Although we're in captivity, this is left for us. Look what he says. Now, therefore, my sons, be zealous for the Torah, and give your lives for the covenant of your father. Give your lives for the Torah. Be willing to die for it. That's called conviction, brothers and sisters. Now, this is the instruction that we are given. He said, call to remembrance the acts of our fathers that did what they did in their time, so that you shall receive great honor and an everlasting name. Now, this is to those who want to tell us, the other books don't matter. I'm talking about in the Tanakh. How do we know the feast of Judith, the feast of Joseph, the feast of Moses, the feast of Abraham? How do we know that Abraham was courageous, except we read in the book of Jasher where he went in and destroyed all of the idol gods in his father's house and brought back many of our people out of the land of the Chaldeans, the Chaldeans. Can't say that word right. Including his own father. Would have known nothing about that if those books were not written with information for us to remind us. When it said Abraham was a friend of Yahuwah, that's why. Because Abraham was not an idolater. He loved the Torah. He loved one sovereign Elohim. And when he saw other Elohims, he destroyed them. He got rid of them. He didn't keep them in his house. He didn't embrace the occult. It goes on to say here, verse 52, and was not Abraham found faithful in his temptation? What temptation? You're not going to read of Abraham getting tempted in the book of Genesis. There's no temptation. Think about it. There is no temptation of Abraham in the book of Genesis. Abraham's temptation came when he was challenged by Nimrod to either, repent for what he had done by destroying his father's idols or get thrown into the fiery furnace. And he said, no, I'll get thrown in the fiery furnace before I bow down to any other Elohim except for the one sovereign Yahuwah. That was his temptation. When he got thrown in that fire, and you would never known that he was thrown in that fire had you not read the book of Jasher, because that's the only place you're going to find it. But yet some want to fight with your brother for this truth. What is wrong with their hearts? When they can simply step back, reflect, meditate on it, and seek reconciliation, they'd rather just stay in rebellion. So be it. And I'm not talking to one particular. I had I'm going to call our daughter Zion. I don't really know what she is, but she looked like one of us. And she sent me this email telling me about some guy she follows that said those books weren't real books and she had receipts. And I told her I didn't care what kind of receipts she had. You can follow him all you want. And I spoke about it. And I'm still talking about it. So this is not centered at one person. Sometimes we make ourselves a little bit too important. This message is a warning to all of us who may be doing that. Many people don't believe those books or those books are validated because they haven't even bothered to study them. I have. I've cross-referenced them. I spent many days, hours upon hours, months upon months studying it. So I think that would kind of, give me some credibility in terms of saying they're legitimate. Are there errors? There is error in every one of these books. Yah said that men would add and take away. So we're not talking about the errors. We're talking about the messages in themselves. Eat the meat, spit out the bone. Didn't we talk about that earlier? But look what it reads right here. For was not Abraham again found faithful in his temptation, and it was imputed unto him for his righteousness. That's how he became a friend of Yah, because when his brother was saying, well, I don't know, Abraham, if the king is right, I'm going to just follow the king ordinances, because, all day I don't want to lose my job. But, if I can keep my job and not take it, then that's what I'm going to do too. But it depends on, I got to do what I got to do. And Abraham said, well, you can do whatever you want to do, Hiram, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I ain't following nothing. If I die, I die. That's called being zealous for the Torah, brothers and sisters. And it's not what he told them. He told them what? He said, be zealous. It's verse 50. He said, now therefore, my son, be zealous for the Torah and be willing to give your lives for the covenants of your father. Or the covenant of our father, talking about Yahuwah. And that's what Abraham was. That's what Haran was not. So when Abraham and Haran got thrown in that fire, Haran got burned to ashes. Abraham, nothing taught him. His clothes got burned off, but he came right out of that fire the same way he went in there. That was his temptation. And there's only one place you can find that. So I'm not trying to, put no salt in no wounds. I'm just being straight out, like I always am. I'm just giving it to you. I'm being honest about it. That's where my integrity is. Because if I said it before, I'll say it again. And again and again and again. Because it's the truth. And I don't need the world to be giving me amen to validate it. It's the truth, whether the whole world says no. If it's written in this book, I believe it. This here book. It goes on to say, verse 53, and Joseph in his time of distress, he kept the commandments and was made the Lord of Egypt. And again, you can read about that if you want detail in the book of Jasher. What did he do? The 70 steps he had to climb. What did he have to know to climb those steps? Why did they select him? It wasn't just because he had a dream. How did his brothers find him? What did he do to them? How did he get Benjamin back? What happened when Simeon got upset? Why were the people afraid of his brothers? Where did he put the food? Who kept the food protected? What were the details when he told them to store the food, that they were supposed to bury the food underground so the rodents wouldn't eat it? You're not going to find that in Genesis. But you'll find it in Jasher. So I don't see a problem, personally. What I see is detailed information to help us better understand the situation. Look at verse 54. And Pinach of our father being zealous and fervent obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. How did he get that? Now that's in the book of Numbers. You can read about that in Numbers 25. He took a javelin and he threw it right through an Israelite man and a heathen woman. When y'all told them to rid themselves of him, he wanted to hold on to his. 24,000 people died because our people decided that they wanted to learn the ways of the heathens, the nations around them. They didn't see nothing wrong with it until something was wrong with it. But unfortunately, that was after 24,000 people of Israel were destroyed because of a plague that Yah put upon us because of our wickedness, our rebellion, because we wouldn't listen. And if he doesn't change, he's not going to change now. So disease X or the black plague or whatever is coming, it's coming. What happened with, that guy who I talked about earlier, he said with the changes that you're going to start seeing in people, they're coming. Because guess what? Disproportionately, our people participated in that experiment more than any other ethnic group did in America. They targeted us, of course. But many of us voluntarily rolled your sleeves up. Tell the truth. They started giving, snowballs in New Orleans and hamburgers and lottery tickets and $100 bills, and our people were knocking each other down trying to get to the front of the line to get it. Now they got it. And if they want to be spared from it, they better go back to Yah's Torah. And Yah said, I read to you Deuteronomy 28, there's a way out of the mess. You're not condemned in it unless you do nothing. But Jesus ain't going to get you out. Yahushua, the black one, white one, the brown one, whatever color, he ain't getting you out of nothing. Now, you can do what you want to do. Stay over there. But just remember, you were warned. Better said, you were informed. Look at 55. And then Joshua, fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Yasharel. And Caleb, for bearing witness before the assembly, received the heritage of his land. You can read that in the book of Joshua. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of the everlasting king. Talking about when he didn't slaughter Saul, when he could have. Saul was chasing him down. David was in a cave. Saul went right in the damn cave, fell asleep. David walked right up to him, could have killed him, didn't. And then later on, told him, hey, by the way, you tried to kill me, you're wicked. I could have killed you. See here, I got a piece of your garment, but I didn't. He said, I'm more righteous than you are, Saul. Because your heart was evil towards me, but yet my heart was merciful towards you. But then again, Saul, as it's written in the book of Jasher, about the son of Nimrod, Meldon, I think his name, said, from the wicked come the wickedness. The father was wicked, the son wicked. That's what David quoted to him. You can read that again in Numbers chapter 23. 1 Samuel chapter 23. It goes on here. We just started in the beginning. Shadrach, with Azariah, Chananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Then we just read that. And Daniel was delivered from the mouth of the lions. Did we read that in Baal and the dragon? When Habakkuk came there and brought him porridge to eat. You see, this is what I'm saying to my brothers and sisters. Y'all put all these books, the Torah and the Tanakh, they go side by side. One, because that is the way we understand what Yah expects from us, the Torah. And the Tanakh allows us to see how our ancestors, and that's what Maccabees was telling his sons. Learn, teach, repeat these things to your sons, so they would know the power of Yahuwah and how to be right before him, as we were right before him. Those of us who walked after his Torah, those of us who were committed and zealous for his Torah. And that's all your brother's doing. That's all I'm doing right now. Repeating the same behavior, following the instructions to the letter. And just as Yahuwah was pleased with Abraham and Daniel and Joseph and Caleb, he's going to be pleased with me. And if you do what's right, he'll be pleased with you as well. But at the end of the day, that's a personal, individual decision you have to make. But as y'all said, how can two walk together except they agree? A house divided will not stand. Two is better than one. Is that not what the proverb says? Threefold cord is hard to break. That's for all you loners out there. Think you're going to get in because you can just be by yourself. With that being said, brothers and sisters, I'll wrap it up. I want to thank those who support the channel financially. It's much appreciated. It helped me keep this bill paid to do these messages and lights on and everything else. So you are definitely a help. And, as long as you stay there helping, then I guess I'll be here teaching. I'll be at least on this platform. Okay? But I want to thank each and every one of you. You know who you are. Sister Howard, or Brother Howard, V. Howard. I just want to say, hey, I did get something out the P.O. box from you, so thank you very much. Brother Starks, thank you, because I know you sent a couple $1 the other day, so thank you, brother. Brother William, same thing. You guys don't have much, but then now I say you don't have to give much. Just give what you can. And any righteous man of Jah would say thank you, and I say thank you. I know Yah will bless that, bless you. And all of you who have and who will still will, all right? All right, so I say that, but again, at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, check out, the link, and you're going to see some stuff that this brother is talking about. And like I said earlier, brothers, we're going to have to be ready for what's coming. And again, remember the old yellow story. He loved that dog until that dog didn't love him no more. We love a lot of people, but pretty soon, a lot of those people that you love ain't going to love you no more. Not because you did something wrong, it's because something else happened. They changed. They changed. Not willingly. It was done to them, but they changed. There's a way out for them. Jeremiah 30:13 says, if you go back there, he'll tell you, hey, look, there's a cure. Deuteronomy 28 definitely tells you what that cure looks like. And we're here to help you get through it if you choose to get through it. Okay? Don't forget about the Zoom call. Email me. Some qualifications there. Israelite, one thing is definitely qualification. Don't forget about the Wednesday night Bible studies, because this is what we talk about, this and other stuff. It's not a waste of time, trust me. Ask the people who come in. And for all you new people who came, thank you. For all you new subscribers, I'm happy to have you. Share the message, share the video, and get your brother or sister phone and hit that subscribe button. So y'all need to hear the truth here. Because ain't nobody else going to tell us. Let's go to that elder over at DFG. He'll tell you. Do what you want to do with it, but you're going to at least hear it. So that being said, brothers and sisters, to Yahuwah, settles this thing once and for all. Let's keep on working. Keep on keeping. Keep on walking. Keep on talking. Walking into freedom land. Walking into Yahuwah's hand. All right, my brothers and sisters. Yahuwah, shalom.